Many investors would love to get inside the mind of Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke. And while we can't bring you his innermost thoughts, we have gotten our hands on his Daybook, which is almost as revealing. Bloomberg News obtained Bernanke's official schedule through Freedom of Information Act requests. The period covered is February through June of this year. Sifting through hundreds of entries for Bloomberg is our Scott Lamman, and he joins us in Washington. Scott, you're smiling already. You've been pouring through the Daybook of one of the most powerful men in the world. What new light did this shed?
It does shed new light. We learned that he had meetings with somebody who's been mentioned as his potential successor. That's Larry Summers, the head of the National Economic Council at the White House. They had lunch together 5 times during that period, several of those in the White House mess, which is the name for the cafeteria at the White House. Bernanke also had lunch pretty frequently with Tim Geithner, the Treasury Secretary, and also met with President Obama several times and with Christina Romer, another of his top economic advisors. So he's pretty well engaged with this administration, even being himself being a Republican holdover from the Bush administration.
And we do have to note that Chairman Bernanke has many reasons to meet and communicate with top administration officials. Can we assume that his possible reappointment by President Obama might be one of them?
Unfortunately, I didn't get that level of detail in these documents, and the spokespeople for Bernanke and Summers declined to comment. Of course, it would be a pretty awkward conversation if that was actually the case. But, of course, it's possible. We just don't know for sure.
Judging through the lens of this Daybook, would you say Bernanke's closer to this administration than to its predecessor?
It does show that he is fairly close, at least from the number of meetings that we had. Now, I've been getting these calendars going back for the first 3 years of Bernanke's tenure as well, and Bernanke was pretty well engaged with the Bush administration, of course, too, including very regular breakfasts with Secretary Hank Paulson and with other top Bush economic advisors. Of course, one important thing to note is that Bernanke is pretty close with this administration in a way because the Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner, was the president of the New York Federal Reserve Bank just before this, and they worked very closely together during the financial crisis.
Scott, you know, you remember before President Obama was sworn in, and there was that talk about Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, Team of Rivals, about President Lincoln bringing rivals into his cabinet. We shouldn't get a sense from this that there has been any tension, should we? Or should it be more that these men, they have a job to do, and even if they have differences of opinion, they have to sit down and sift through some ideas and find out what might be best to move the country forward through these troubling economic times?
That's a really good point. And one really big project that all these people worked on together this year were, for example, the stress tests of the biggest U.S. banks. And that was something that the Fed and Bernanke led themselves. But they're very well, of course, may have been in coordination with Treasury and with people like Larry Summers and these issues as well, given its importance to the country.
So I guess we can't assume that Mr. Bernanke said, so Larry, do you want my job?
We could only imagine what the dialogue might have been like.
Bloomberg's Scott Lamman pouring through Ben Bernanke's Daybook. He joins us from Washington. Scott, thanks.